Today's Chevrolet Detroit Grand Prix presented by Lear. Kyle Kirkwood and Colton Herta will be here momentarily. Obviously joined now, though, by the second place finishing driver and Santino Ferrucci, giving AJ Foyt their best road or street course finish in a decade. Takuma Sato at Belle Isle was the last one to
Long
finish.
Beach.
Was it Long Beach?
Long Beach,
Oh,
he
okay.
won. Mhm.
Um,
I know, trust me, because I
what?
keep getting reminded.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm trying to become the next winner for us.
At any rate, long time coming. Driver number 14, Sexton Properties, AJ Foyt Racing Chevrolet. Again, best finish of this year, best finish of his career, best finish, go on and on and on. How good does this feel?
Feels great. I mean, honestly, the strategy plays into everything that we do, especially on road and street course. It's very tough, and I can't thank the team enough. I mean, this is more deserving of them than it is even of me. We probably drove to 11th, minus the strategy just running our race. So Mike and Adam, CJ, they all made great calls on the stand to pit us when they did, and we got lucky with the yellow when it came out. Cycled us to the front. I actually had no idea it was leader because there's cars going around the pace car in front of me, and then they stopped me, and I was like, oh, oh, well, this is a pleasant surprise.
Yeah.
So it was pretty cool. But yeah, no, I just couldn't hold off Kyle in the end. I don't know what I did with the tires, but I couldn't hold off Will, and I definitely didn't think I was going to hold off Colton. The red flag really saved us, and just happy that Felix is okay, after that one. And yeah, I was able to get back around Will and come home second.
Well said. Congratulations. All right, we'll open
Thank
up
you.
for questions. Microphone somewhere. Help us out. There we go. We'll start here. We'll go Wolfgang and then Lewis and then Bob on this side. If we got a microphone to Bob as well, that would be fantastic. Thank you. Go ahead.
Yeah, Santino, congratulations.
Thank you.
Very, very late in the race, shortly before the finish, I think it was in lap 95, Colton launched attack on it. Did you expect it?
Yeah, I was managing my overtake intentionally, only using it in bursts coming out of two. We were trimmed, which was quite interesting. So we were obviously expecting to be fighting in traffic all day, not fighting for the podium or the win. So I was just struggling to get through two. He was getting there a little bit better, but the Chevrolet Power with the overtake obviously kept me pretty far ahead on the straights. And he broke deep, and I just told him, after it was a great racing, I had to turn in, and I knew he was going to hit me because I could see he was locked up. I just hoping he wasn't going to bump me too hard, but rubbing's racing, so I truly believe in that. I would have done the same thing if I was him. Yeah.
Bob?
Bob Hawkers, Fox Sports. It's the first American U.S.-born podium since 2020, Mid-Ohio. Is that important? Does that matter?
No, I think it's really cool. I think it's cool to happen in Detroit. I think it's cool to be on the podium. I think there's a lot of really good, talented Americans in the sport, but a big part of this sport is having all these different drivers from different countries that make it so great, that make it so talented, make the grid, so the depth of the grid, so powerful. So, but it is really cool to be on the podium though with two kids that not kids, I guess, two fellow race car drivers that I grew up racing against from go-karts all the way to IndyCar. So I think that, obviously me and Kyle's history go back to probably when we were like 6 or 7 years old. So I think that's really cool. I think that's something that, is unique.
Lewis?
Yeah, over next to Wolfgang. Did you did your team probably your team told you that Kyle had a wing problem? At any point did you think maybe you had a shot?
Oh, I didn't know.
Oh,
I honestly, he was so fast. I mean, he probably would have ended up on pole regardless his stuff in qualifying and just trying to defend him like the rate that I can see him coming. When you're a driver in that situation, and you know that you're struggling a little bit, you're obviously going to defend for the win as much as you can. But at the end of the day, if you force him to make an error and it wrecks you, it wrecks your day too. So I did just defend my position. He drove straight past me down the straight, cleared me before the brake zone. So it was a really good move. I mean, like I said, I didn't want to waste any more of our time and our tires where I was already struggling to defend more than I needed to, and I didn't want to ruin a good day for both of us.
Nathan?
Back-to-back really big, back-to-back really big race weekends for AJ Foyt Racing. I know you guys were having maybe a little bit of a slow start to 2025. As we get into this segment of the season where we're racing almost every single weekend, what do results like this that are starting to pile up for you guys? What do you feel like it can do for AJ Foyt Racing?
Man, I mean, this is a big deal for us, especially in the championship. Just finding our stride. Obviously, I think I've struggled a little bit more than David has the last couple of races, just trying to be consistent with the car and consistent with changes. We had a ton of changes going into this weekend, and we finally unloaded the car for warm up, and I felt really, really happy. And we didn't change anything going into the race, but had we started there, obviously David started the weekend with something like that, and the same with Indy for him. It really goes to show, But I'm hoping that we can finally catch that stride and move forward. We have going to Gateway. It's the first time we come back with the hybrid, so hopefully all the references that I've built last year will still be there.
Any other questions for Santino before we cut him loose? Santino primarily, right for now, anyway. Go ahead.
Honestly, I was just super thankful. I mean, just really congratulating the boys. All I did was push the pedals and turn the steering wheel. I mean, we weren't going to finish on the podium today without them and without their help. So, like I said, it was more their podium finish than it is mine. So, just congratulating them on an amazing job in pit lane, on the stand, and a lot of screaming, a lot of yelling. So it was pretty cool.
More for Santino before we let him go. Right there with his hand raised, second row. Thanks, Bruce.
Santino, we spoke on Friday about how there's been a few races this season where strategy hasn't worked in your favor. So I was curious, how does it feel to be on the opposite side of that today and be on a podium in a city you enjoy so much, such as Detroit?
Well, I'd say strategy in a general sense. Obviously it's always little things that make a big difference, but I had a race like today that I've probably had only like twice in my career in IndyCar, and you get that lucky with the yellow flag. I mean, any driver will tell you. I mean, that is like perfect positioning, perfect timing, perfect everything. Like the racing gods are looking down on you and on your favor for that. So having something like that, and obviously there's more that goes into it, and there's calculations and a lot of background of when exactly to pit. I mean, we were down telemetry, so I was the one that was making the call when to pit too, which was honestly incredibly nerve-wracking because I was saving a ton of fuel because the fuel light had been on for a lap and a half, and I was just watching the tank, and I was just like, oh, this would be embarrassing if I ran us out of gas now. But yeah, no, so stuff like that, it makes it all better.
Last call for Santino. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Good to see you, buddy. Yeah, obviously restarting this race as well. It's just, super stressful. I had a massive mistake into one on my second restart, just locked the outside front. At that point, you're just trying not to hit the wall, which would be embarrassing since you're the leader. But I'm not gonna lie. But yeah, it's been a minute since I've been out front restarting one of these on a street course. I've led actually Belle Isle quite a bit, and I've really loved that track. So to be back out front in Detroit was really special, especially for Chevrolet.
And last call for Santino. Go ahead, sir.
Thank you, Santino, Roy Akers, Skyview Sports. Listening to the broadcast while watching, the announcers all said that they noticed the difference this year from last year. There was more drama. This year, you just absolutely settled in. You're dialed in and focused. You think that's made a huge difference in your driving this year and your finish today?
Yeah, obviously, I feel very settled inside the team at AJ Foyt Racing. Also, dealing with a lot of stressful months, having a good sports psychologist on my side the past couple of, I'd say almost the last year now has been a big help for me. And, just trying to stay calm in situations like that and honestly more enjoy it. So, it's really cool. We're very fortunate to do what we do and, to be out there. Yeah. So it was a lot of fun.
You guys are on a roll right now. Take a couple of weeks off. We'll see you at Worldwide Technology Raceway.
Can't wait.
Thanks, Santino. Also joined by Colton Herta, driver the number 26 Gamebridge Honda for Andretti Global with Kerr Bagajanian, who led 11 laps this afternoon. Best finish of the season, obviously 19th career podium for you, Colton. Just maybe take us through what was kind of chaotic there in the last 20 laps or so.
Yeah, really the whole race. Yeah, very, very difficult track. Very difficult to get everything right today. I think we ended up choosing the right strategy, and was happy with how we did everything with the tires. And yeah, our Gamer Honda was fast, and yeah, wish we could get 2 more positions, but maybe in 2 weeks.
All right, we get into questions in person. Bruce here in the front row. And then Wolfgang, stand by. Thanks. I got you.
Colton, really nice start at the start of the race. Everybody was able to get through. A lot of times at this race, that doesn't happen. Were you a little surprised that the first lap went without any incident?
My idea was to pack everybody up as much as I could. I'd like to say it was for the fans, but it was to try to stop that from happening and have to deal with restarts as the leader. I figured if everybody's packed up, everyone would be moving slower into turn one, and it'd be harder to create chaos, and it seemed like it worked.
And also, for the most part, there was mayhem, but there was also a lot of periods where there was great racing. Do you think drivers are getting the hang of this racetrack a little bit better in year 3?
I don't know. I think everything around me was fine, but I don't know about everybody else. It looked like most of the cautions were from some pretty big mistakes and not really like just straight wheel to wheel contact a lot of the time. So I would say, yeah, probably then.
Bob, and then Nathan after that, then Wolfgang will come to you.
You said yesterday that you needed Sundays to go well and execute well. Are you pleased with today?
Yes. How the season that we've had up until this point, it's been really hard. It sucked, and I think anybody on the Gamebridge card will tell you that we haven't been happy with how everything's been going. So yes, I would have loved to win. It does feel bad when you start first and you lose positions. But with how our season's gone, I think we're happy with the podium, and we just need to keep it rolling.
And this is the first time since Mid-Ohio 2020 where it's 3 U.S.-born drivers on the podium. Does that matter?
It was an Andretti sweep that day too. I believe I won. I remember that one.
Thanks for that, Bob.
Yeah.
Well
Doesn't matter. I think it's cool, especially with a series that has become so international on the driver's side. You think back to early IRL, if you told people then that, more than half the series was going to be international drivers, I think people would gasp. So, but it's great. I think we're getting all walks of life in the series, and it really just amps the competitiveness up and brings the best drivers.
Nathan.
I know you mentioned to us on Friday that you couldn't really think too much about the championship and Palou yet because you had some other drivers between him and you to make up before there. But on a race when he crashes out, finishes 25th, how much more important is executing and getting everything clean on this race and finishing on the podium for you guys?
Yeah, I mean, you have to be able to take the maximum amount of points out of that guy, and I think we were going to do it today, even if he finished where he was. I think we were strong enough to hold him off, and I think we would have kept him behind, so we would have knocked down the points lead a little bit, but I think it helps everybody else out in the championship a lot when he goes out like that, and it's unfortunate for him, but we really need some mistakes from him or misfortune to be able to catch him.
Thanks. Wolfgang.
2 questions for you, Colton. Congratulations. First, you said earlier the track was difficult. What do you mean with difficult? Was it grid situation, or was it different than days before?
No, I think it's just brutal with the bumps. It's just a difficult track to get right, to not hit anything on its own, and then when you add 26 other cars out there, it makes it even more difficult. So I think, yeah, that's what I meant.
Shortly before the finish of the race, the single power launched the attack. Did you expect it? And
I knew he had 20 seconds to push the pass. I was out, but I was trimmed and he wasn't, so I knew that was going to help a little bit, and I knew having Honda power was going to help a little bit, so I wasn't too worried. It seemed like everything worked out, but he was really strong at the end, so it took everything for me to stop him from coming.
Questions, Lewis? Do you have one? And then we'll come to you. Oh, go ahead. You have the microphone. Go ahead.
So I was watching the broadcast on the screens up on the rooftop, and I heard them say that you had a difficulty with your car somewhere around the last 20 laps. So I was just wondering, with those difficulties, did you have to change any of your strategies that you had previously planned for the race, or was there already plans set in place to help you in case of an accident like that?
I honestly I don't know what they would have been talking about on the broadcast. The car was okay, and we didn't have any problems. So I think maybe the difficulty would have been from trying to get around the guys that got the lucky yellow. It seemed like we were a lot faster than them, and that was probably the most difficult part of the race was trying to get through those guys and get back on the podium.
Wait, microphone up here to Lewis. Oh, I'm sorry. Hard to tell you, but
Um,
go ahead.
name is Omar, and I just wanted to ask, first of all, great race, but I wanted to ask, I think you pulled into pit about lap 11 or 12, and I heard that Kirkwood, left out in front of you. Do you think if you would have maybe gotten out of there quicker or chose to go in a little later, you think you would have kept the lead ahead of Kirk and maybe taken first
Uh,
place?
yeah, I came out ahead of him. Nolan dive bombed me pretty much in turn four and hip checked me into the wall basically, which kind of slowed me down a lot, and that's what allowed Kirkwood around me. But we did come out of the pits ahead of him, which is great. The guys did a great job. The strategy was great. The boys were solid, even on the yellow flag pit stop. We were so close to beating Will out, so I was happy with how everything went.
Lewis.
Yeah, over here, straight back. Thanks. After Kyle finishes ahead of you in a race, do you talk to your dad, and what do you talk about?
I told him to pit him and put him on a worse strategy. I don't know. I was trying to help him out. I'm his son.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Colton before we cut him loose? There's one in the back. Go ahead.
Hi. Louis Foster had a pretty weird looking suspension failure. Obviously maybe a little bit too soon to say exactly what it was on the TV broadcast. He said the bumps might have been a factor. Are the bumps to the point where it could be a safety issue, or alternatively, if there's a specific part of the track that you would want to see repaved, what would it be?
No repaving. Until we're bad with bumps, no repaving. Make it worse. Take a jackhammer to the place. I don't think it's a safety aspect. The cars are incredibly strong, so whatever happened to him, I would suspect it was a mileage out part, or maybe he had contact at some point that weakened it. But it would be awfully strange for it to just fail, especially from the bumps that we have here.
All right, last call for Colton. All right, congratulations. We'll see you at St. Louis in a couple weeks.
Thank you. Pacers in
Colton.
6.
All right, and with that, Kyle Kirkwood also joins us, who led 48 of the 100 laps this afternoon, driving the number 27 Siemens AWS Honda for Andretti Global. First win at Detroit, second win of the season, fourth career win in the NTT INDYCAR Series. How big was this for you?
Massive. I mean, huge day in general for Andretti Global and the 27 crew. We've had a hell of a couple weeks, not gonna lie, and this is an exclamation point on everything that we've done. Andretti's phenomenal at street courses, and it's so good to capitalize on it. I felt pretty robbed of a couple wins here the past couple of years, where I felt like we definitely should have won, and we've had pace on everyone, and finally this year we were able to get it done. Not from lack of challenge either. I had to pass some cars out there. I found myself in the fourth, fifth position, I think, a couple times, and had to claw my way back. So fortunately, we had pace to do so, and hopefully, or fortunately, I made it stick. It was some low percentage moves, if I'm not gonna lie, that I made, but you have to at street courses, right?
Yeah.
Not any move you make is low percentage. So fortunately, they stuck, and we were able to come home with the win.
You want to talk us through the next to last restart? You got around the 14.
Yeah.
Take the lead.
I mean, we were really good on restarts for some reason. I couldn't tell you why, but our pace on restarts was phenomenal, and I knew that I had to because of that, I knew I had to get by everyone that was in front of me within the first 5 laps, which I did on the initial start after I got passed by a guy or two. And once again on that restart. And yeah, fortunately it paid off. And the thought process around it was just pick these guys off when opportunities arose, but opportunities came much quicker than I anticipated. And were able to get them pretty quickly, then kind of get ourselves back into the lead. So worked out really well.
Yeah, congratulations to you and the team. Questions? Let's start here in the front row. Bob, you have one? And then Nathan after that. We'll work the room. Thanks.
You said you said the other day that you don't get too animated, but just what have like kind of the last 9 or 10 days been like as far as highs and lows?
I've gotten every emotion that I've ever had in motorsports across the past 10 days, no doubt about it. We had a phenomenal 500, and I got every emotion in the 500 alone, where we went to the back. We had bad stops at some times. We cycled through, got ourselves back into a good position, had a great car, and had a car that was capable of winning, but just didn't get close enough there at the end. And obviously drama through the week, and then coming into this weekend where we knew we'd be fast. We were extremely fast, kind of threw it away a little bit in qualifying, but then get some of that positivity back, or all of it, I should say, back to here today, and put an exclamation point on everything that has happened. So that's motor racing for you. You get all the emotions, you get the highs, you get the lows, and that's what we live for. We live for the highs, but we also enjoy the lows when you look back at it, because it makes the highs even that much sweeter.
And it's the first podium since Mid-Ohio 2020 where all 3 drivers are U.S. born. Does that matter?
Yeah, I mean, we have one of the most diverse series in the world, I think, and it's good to have the U.S. back on top. I'm not gonna lie, that's pretty cool actually. I'm stoked with that, and I mean, hats off to Santino. That was crazy. I mean, they played their cards right. They got up front, and they ultimately didn't have the pace, but they were able to keep themselves. I mean, I respect him a lot for what they did. But yeah, I mean, yeah, all three young guys and Americans, pretty cool stuff.
Nathan.
Alex Palou crashes out in 25th, and yet we still don't have a new winner on the season. You still are the only driver that's been able to win a race.
Fine with that.
Yeah, I imagine you probably would be happy to keep that trend going. How important in your title pursuits was it to capitalize in the way that you did today, and on a day when he has a pretty terrible one?
Super important, but we got to keep doing it, right? Like still, I mean, we saw it. He can skip out on still a handful of more races and be absolutely fine. This race sometimes brings out the best and worst in some people, and unfortunately, he I don't know exactly what happened to him, but unfortunately for him, he ended up in a wall. But it actually helps us a lot in the championship. Puts us we're not really still in the hunt, I wouldn't say. I can imagine. I don't know what the points actually are, but it at least gives you like a taste of like, oh, maybe we can claw back at this, which is pretty cool. So I don't know where we end up in the championship now. I know we were, I think, 5th coming into this weekend, and now we're 2nd.
You're 102 points back right now.
102, yeah, that's still a mile away, but it puts you back in a position where you feel like you might be able to get that back. But I'm sure we're going to go to road courses, and Palou's going to do his thing. So see what happens.
Kind of in that same vein, Bob mentioned it a little bit. Losing, in this championship battle, not only did you, lose a solid Indy 500 finish, dropping 24 points, I think is what it was when you dropped from 6th to, was it 32nd for the 500?
Yeah.
How have you dealt with, internally with the team, just the frustrations of that? Clearly, team and you both capitalized this weekend and put it behind you.
I mean, fortunately for me, I just drive the car, and we immediately, I mean, even after the 500, immediately that night, we focus on what is ahead and how do we do things like we did today. And I think that pays off, right? That's one of our strong suits, that we're able to put things behind us very, very quickly and focus on what's in front of us. And I'm thankful for the team for that mindset. And it paid off here this weekend.
The last one from me, you referenced that you feel like these road courses that are coming up, Road America, Mid-Ohio in particular, that I think Alex has won on in recent years, the last couple of years, those are probably maybe places that you feel like you guys are really going to have to come and bring something to him to keep him from running away with this any more than he already has.
A little bit, not as much as like Barb or NDGP Thermal because that's where he's been dominant in previous years. So fortunately, we're through some of those races with him. But yeah, Mid Ohio, Road America, Laguna, places like that. We know he's strong, but we also know that we're strong too, and we've had a lot of success there in previous years. We just got to get back to our winning ways there because we can't let him win any more races.
Thanks.
Wolfgang.
Over here.
Yep.
Congratulations first.
Thank you.
Two questions. Colton said earlier when he was here, the track was very difficult, bumpy with 26 cars around. Are you sharing his opinion? And question number two, watching the race on television at the media center, your front wing was floppering. Did it affect your handling, or you was not feeling that anything was strange with the car behavior, driving behavior?
I guess two questions there. First, yeah, the track is very hard to drive. That's the nature of street courses. And somebody answer that.
So, Wolfgang, is that your phone?
Somebody's calling you. I'll get back to what I was saying. Yeah, the track's very difficult to drive. It's obviously very bumpy. It like I said earlier to them over here, I said it brings out the worst in you, and it brought out the worst in me yesterday in qualifying, right? It's pretty rare for me to make mistakes and hit the wall anywhere else other than street courses. So yeah, it's that was a tough one, and it's because the track's so hard to drive, but I actually appreciate it in that sense. You know, it brings out it really it allows you to capitalize when you take more risk or it is a tougher track to drive and there is a lot more reward for the risk that you take. And then your question about the front wing, the
Man, Wolfgang.
yeah, just answer it now. I'm just kidding. I'll answer it. Um, the front wing, I clipped the back of Kiffin. I don't know if it was the bumps that made him like slightly move over. I was too close to him though, to be honest. I was just popping a little bit too tight to him, and either the bumps pushed me into him or him into me. I'm not sure exactly what happened. It wasn't his fault at all. But yeah, broke the front main plane or the left front main plane, and it really didn't affect the car at all though. I think our performance was still really good. I might have picked up a little bit of understeer from it and probably lost some downforce, but it wasn't enough to really affect the car.
But it was looking very heavy.
I'm sure, but it didn't really affect the actual performance.
Could you see it from the cockpit?
Barely, ever so slightly. Yep.
Wolfgang, go figure out who's calling you. I'm worried about this now. Okay, Tony.
It's important, whatever it is.
You're right.
A couple real quick. We used to call Alonso Jr. the king of the streets. You're kind of taking over that. What about street course racing fits your style? Obviously, having a good car is a lot to do with it, but your driving style and the way you've been able to win here and other street courses as well.
I don't know. I wish I knew. I wish I could take whatever that was and bring it to other places. Obviously, the cars are really good here. I got to put a lot back on Andretti because they're always been really good at all the street courses that we go to. That's where we tend to be dominant, and those are the places that we got to make sure that Alex doesn't win at. And even though he won at St. Pete earlier this year at a street course, but you know, I wish I knew why or how it translate or if it does translate to other places, because this is weekends like this is what we need to win a championship.
It's a new look car. A couple new sponsors came on since Indy.
Mhm.
That's got to be big as well. Talk about that and like having eyes on Andretti. And then if you can real quick, just recap the start of the race. Colton said he kind of bunched everybody up to make sure that they were a little bit slower going into that initial first turn.
I don't know what you're talking about in the initial on the very
first start. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'll answer your first question. Yeah, we obviously brought Siemens and AWS on for this weekend, and they're most of their personnel in the U.S. are based here in Detroit, although their headquarters are not here. They're out of actually Plano, Texas, but most of the executives and a lot of people were here. So actually, the top portion of that garage right across from pit lane was primarily Siemens people, and you know, this is a big win for them. Big win for them being at a semi home to them, and obviously a big win considering that they just came on board for the 500, which they've been running. They've been with the team forever. They've been on our mirrors for 28 years, I think it was, right, Michelle? Does that sound about right? 28 years? Yeah. So they're one of the longest running sponsors on our team. So it was great to have them in this capacity as a primary sponsor and get a win with them, of course. Um, and then your question about the start. Yeah, Colton broke slightly early, and Lundgaard broke very, very late. And it's kind of worked out for him a little bit, but I got kind of boxed out on the outside. And fortunately, I didn't push it too hard because I actually would have collided with Lundgaard. So it was a hectic start, but yeah, by every point of view. But we got through it unscathed, barely.
Mike, Lewis, we got a microphone? And then Tucker,
Thanks.
we got time for one or
Straight
two
back
more.
to by Wolfgang. Pardon me, baby boomer here with all this stuff. You had over 40 seconds of push to pass left at the end of the race. Everybody behind you had nothing. So number one, what was Brian telling you, and what does he have to tell his son tonight?
You know, I'll be honest. I think Colton was somewhat robbed of a win here today. He's done everything right this weekend. He got the pole. He led the portion or the beginning portion of that race, and then he just got caught out on cold tires. Siegel actually kind of dove bomb him into turn 4 and almost put him into the wall and put him in a really bad spot. And I was able to sneak by him in that situation. But if it wasn't for that, he probably would have won the race. So that was unfortunate for him. So I mean, he's not doing anything wrong. He's doing everything right. I still look up to him. He's still the guy that I'm always trying to catch up to, if I'm being honest. Of course, we have had a couple of wins here, but he's doing everything right. They just need some stars need to align for him a little bit better. And I'm sorry, you had another question.
Just agree that his dad is your strategist.
Yeah, and of course that was strategy within the team. They wanted Brian to come on, but it's funny. Brian actually wants to beat his son a lot of times, and Colton's very solidified in this series. Of course, Brian wants to see his son win, but he also wants to see the car that he's on win. And there's no conflict of interest whatsoever when it comes to that.
Young lady in the back, go ahead.
My name's Jalea, and my question is, when you were around like lap 60, 67, you were in first place, but then you had lost first place for a couple of laps. Did you ever lose doubt that you weren't going to get back in first place?
Yes, in simple ways, of course. You never want to see yourself lose positions because somebody got lucky on something. And that's exactly what happened for the 3 guys that were in front of me. Is it 3 or 4 drivers? 3, I think. And it was Santino, Kiffin, and Armstrong that were right there in front of me. And of course, I was like, man, this probably just ruined our race here. And fortunately, it didn't. Fortunately, we were able to get back by them, but we had to pass cars, which is a hard thing to do in IndyCar. We haven't seen a lot of that on street courses and road courses, and today we saw the most passing that we've seen all season. So I'm sure that was big for us as a series, big for Fox, right? We're coming off the 500 with over 8 million at its peak, 7 million viewers at one time, and then this weekend is usually a big weekend for Fox coming off the 500, and we had one of the best races of the year, I thought. So fortunate for that. Sorry, I'm sidetracking now, but yes, I did lose doubt at some point. It went away though when I started passing cars and we were able to get ourselves back in the lead. Thank you for the question.
Tucker, go ahead.
Tucker White, SpeedwayMedia.com. So Kyle, with 22 to go, you make it with a damaged wing. You overtake Santino Ferrucci for the lead, like in a moment that SportsCenter top 10 moments are made of. What was your thought process to that whole thing?
We had pace on him. So I just played my cards right. I had to overtake kind of everyone in different manners. So it was all in the same place, but it all felt a little bit different in a way. Yeah, the Armstrong pass, I actually popped early on him to kind of put him in a spot that he couldn't defend. and it worked out really well. I went around the outside of David. We were one of the most trimmed cars out there, which did help in that situation here today. I think David was max downforce and we were trimmed a little bit, and it made it a little bit easier for us to pass. I don't know where Santino was on downforce, but he was also easy to get around in the straight and then kind of get back in front of him and defend going down into turn 3. Pretty simple passes, if I'm being honest, in street course form. Not much of a lunge. I had a lot of big lunges early on in the race because I was pretty upset that I lost positions on the start. But they all worked out.
And I don't know if you had a chance to look at your car after the race, but how bad ultimately was the damage?
It wasn't bad. Yeah, I think Wolfgang asked that a couple minutes ago. It wasn't bad at all. It broke the front wing, but fortunately, a place like this, downforce isn't everything because you're going so slow. So a front wing damage isn't that big of a deal.
We've got time for one more, maybe two. Maybe three. Okay, go ahead.
Kyle,
Yes.
you were talking about some of those big sends and low percentage moves, but you had the pace all weekend. I mean, you qualified third with a broken toe link, right? So, talk about how much confidence you drove with this weekend.
A lot. Yeah, that's a good question. A lot of confidence, and anything less than a win would have been a disappointment for me this weekend. And I was doing everything in my power to make sure that we got that win. And I was disappointed with qualifying with the pace. You never want. It's rare that you get weekends like this in IndyCar where you feel like you have a car that is 100% capable of winning in every situation that you have, and you don't want them to go to waste. And I made sure that was not the case here today.
Let's go Nathan, David, right in front of you. Let's go Nathan, and then we'll finish up in the back row there. Go ahead.
Just kind of a little bit of a procedural follow-up question. So when we have a crash like Alex Palou had on your radio, is Brian telling you who crashed? So do you know that did you know at the time that Palou had crashed out, or were you not aware of that until the end of the race?
No, I knew it. He didn't tell me, but I knew it. I shouldn't be smiling thinking that, but yeah, I mean, I knew that he crashed, and I knew that we needed to capitalize on some points today, given the outcome for him. I don't know what happened with him, and I feel bad for him, but this also does help us a lot with the points.
So he was tapped from behind by Malukas.
Was he?
Happened. Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Oh.
4 was penalized.
I'm not going to comment. Did he? It's so easy to do here, especially if you're on throttle and you're just shoving the guy through the corner like Will did to me. So I'm sure it wasn't like that. But
so I guess you kind of touched on it there. So that registers in your mind when you're in the race. Okay, Palou is out. I'm up toward the front. I need to, even more than you already are, make sure that we don't lose the chance that we have ahead of us right now.
I completely blanked out on what you just asked.
I was clarifying. You said you hinted that registered in your mind that Alex had crashed out of the race at that point, and it was something that at least crossed your mind that you needed to focus in that much more to make sure that this was the result.
It didn't change the focus whatsoever.
Okay.
I was still like, I need to win this race, but at the same time, I knew that we were also anywhere that we ended up kind of up front, that we were going to have a good points day, and it was going to help us out a lot. And also the guys I was racing against aren't as close to the championship, like Lundgaard, Pato, Felix, like they weren't up there, and I saw I hope that they're okay. I don't know what actually happened there. That's good. Yeah, so I knew we were going to have a good points day, which I wanted to keep it clean because of that, but I also was like, I got to win this race. So.
All right, we got time for 2 more, then we'll wrap it up. 1 here, and then Chris after that. Go ahead.
I
heard that with Colton.
Yep, thank you. Roy Akers, Skyview Sports.
Back to the left, Kyle.
Here you go, Kyle.
Sorry. There you
are. Just curious, would you think drivers or yourself might entertain if there was like a playoffs in IndyCar where?
No way. Don't even ask.
You just want total points.
Yes, 100%. Don't. Yeah, please don't ask that.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, Chris, wrap us up.
Kyle, everybody went from.
Sorry, I don't see you.
Over here.
Oh, there right, sorry.
Okay.
Barber to Indy GP, Indy 500 qualifying, 500 now here. How are you going to spend your off week?
I'm going to go home. Going to go back to Florida. Be a little bit warmer than here. Go see my house. Make sure it's still there. I think there's like a storm coming next week, so I'll probably hunker down and watch a hurricane hit us or something. Maybe get on my boat for a little bit. We'll see what happens. But I just want to get home. It's been a long month. It's been a long month for everyone probably here in this room. And thank you for what you guys all do. And obviously thank you to the team. But like you said, now we got an off week, and I hope everyone can go out there and enjoy as much as possible. I know I will.
NBA Finals prediction?
Pacers, obviously. What about my Panthers too?
Yeah, Panthers, NHL. Yeah,
they're gonna win. They're gonna win. I think I got them in 5, but I know Colton said 6. I think it might be a little bit quicker than that.
Okay.
So
all right.
Pacers, at least I said.
Maybe 5 or a sweep. We'll take that.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks to all the volunteers here. You guys have been great, and congratulations on another victory, win number 2 this year. Thanks,
you.
Kyle. Appreciate it.
you guys.
Thank you.